Hello. Welcome back to the channel. Slightly nervous. Let me get a little coffee. Well, I say we just get into it, shall we? So, I kind of left you guys on a cliffhanger. I did get my surgery, and then I never posted an after, right? So I took about 2 weeks off, and then I jumped right back into the swing of things. As some of you may or may not know, I actually run a whole salon, and give myself 2 weeks off after getting a tummy tuck. Is it crazy? Yes it is. But without further ado, I am back. We've got notes, and I wanted to share with you guys and truly add that value. I didn't know how to come back for a bit, but I definitely had it on my heart to kind of be more open and transparent with how this whole recovery went, what I still deal with from that surgery. So first of all, prepping for surgery. I spoke a little bit about this in my previous video, but for anyone that is already scheduled, looking to get scheduled, some of the things that you're gonna need in order to prepare for your surgery are definitely going to be, one, a recliner that has a lever, or if you can, I would definitely suggest a recliner that is electric, just because I found out the hard way that, one, you are not going to have the strength for nothing, and two, you definitely want something that doesn't jerk you. So I made the mistake of getting a leverless recliner, meaning I had to use my own body weight, and I didn't necessarily think about that. And I don't know why I didn't, but definitely I could not make that motion at all. Super uncomfortable. I yelled, I screamed, my neighbors heard me. It was not a pleasant time. So now that I know that, I would definitely recommend everyone to get a electric recliner if that's in your budget. It would make a world of a difference, because those go really slow, and you can kind of stop them in between, not fully recline back, because again, you will have an open wound, in my case from hip to hip. So you definitely don't want to be placed in two compromising positions, correct? Correct. Second of all, I personally got custom fajas. I got a plethora of fajas that I will be linking down below, but I got two in particular that were custom to me. My reasoning for suggesting that and my reasoning for wanting that is because me personally, my proportions are not like a traditional small, medium, large. So like my thighs are thunderous, right? And obviously I was getting work done to my abdomen, so my waist to hip to thigh ratio was just all over the place, right? And I always have the problem of shorts being too tight on my thighs, and if I size up, just doesn't work out, right? So I wanted that to be custom so that I had enough room to not cut off circulation in my legs, but be tight and fitted in my waist, right? Because the fajas are to be worn at first almost all day. I would only take them off to wash them. So I definitely wanted to make that investment and make sure that I was definitely comfortable in them. So I went ahead and did that about 3 days into my recovery, but I had all of those ready to order. So I will link that down below, the name of the place that I used and some of the other ones that I used while I was waiting, because you definitely still want to be compressed. Not only does it feel like an extra support, because remember, you don't have any abdominal strength after a surgery like this, and I learned that very quickly. So definitely a must in my book. So the day of surgery, I showed up at my 6 a.m. scheduled time. I walked through everything with my doctor. We went through all of the areas that we were going to cut. He walked me through my recovery for the day, how I was gonna wake up, how I was gonna go home, that I was gonna take a Norco afterwards because I was driving 45 minutes. He walked me through all of that. We prayed together. He prayed over me. He asked me if I would like him to pray for me, and I thought that was a very beautiful touch. So we went through the surgery. I woke up not too groggy, to be honest. His team was absolutely amazing. One of the nurses had reached out to me the night before to again walk me through this. So all of those made me feel extremely comfortable. She even helped me after with any questions that I had. So I went home. I was already on Norco in Lake Forest. 45 minutes. It was a toll road. It was beautiful. Nobody was on the road, and I got home very smoothly. That's when I had the whole recliner incident, and I learned that very quickly. So we just transitioned me over to my bed, and I had my drains and I had everything. At that point I had a white binder in just my abdominal area, which I did replace about halfway through the week, and I will link that down below as well, the replacement that I got. I do have a small torso in my opinion, and so I did get one that was a little bit shorter in width because it was jamming into like where like your breasts meet kind of your rib cage area, and every time I would sit it was super uncomfortable. So I ended up swapping that out a couple days after. But definitely the first couple of days you are truly humbled. You need help for everything. I didn't have much of an appetite, and I was just on a constant med routine of like waking up, having a couple hours to myself, taking some medication when the pain got a little intolerable, and then sleeping. So the first couple of days were very much that, very much humbling in the sense that I definitely needed help with just about everything. And luckily at the time I had my beautiful mother and my partner at the time, and so it was truly a humbling experience from someone that lived on their own and kind of was super independent. It was interesting nonetheless. I did try to keep my walking at a minimal because at that time in surgery or in your recovery, you are definitely more prone to fluid buildup. So my doctor just made sure that I wasn't overly active, and of course it's super uncomfortable, so it's not like you're naturally wanting to go run laps or anything like that. So by the time I went to my first post-op appointment, which was about 3 days later, he instructed me to start walking a little bit more straighter, to kind of like stretch that out in terms of like he didn't want me to continue to walk hunched over because that would definitely not derail completely my recovery, but definitely slow that recovery down. I started to order my fajas. I already had a faja from Amazon, which was a little bit tricky because of course I had the drains on both sides. Now I do know some people, and I do have friends that have gotten their drains right above their pubic area. Personally, I think that might be a great decision. I did not get to choose where I had them, so I had them on the outside of my hips. Like my hips are like the widest part of me, so it was a little bit of tension trying to get the tubes to come out and lay nicely without really aggravating that area. Of course, as you will see in some of the videos, we made it work. I kept an eye on them. I asked the nurse questions if I had any questions, and that lasted for about a week. After a week's time, when I did go back for my 1 week post-op, he did go ahead and remove the drains. He again instructed me and stressed the importance of not being overly active due to like the fluid buildup that could potentially happen. And me being me, I wanted to walk Target and walk the neighborhood, and I really had to remind myself that I am recovering, that I should not speed the process, and to genuinely just listen to my doctor. Hardest thing of this whole process, you will see. So week 2 was more of getting used to trying to get in and out of bed comfortably. My setup, because the recliner didn't end up working for me, was a lot of my bed. And now my bed is not the tallest thing. I don't have like a tall bed frame or anything like that, but when I tell you it was such a struggle to get in and out of bed, again, truly humbled this whole experience. I did need help getting into bed. As you will see in these clips, I look back at this and I'm just like, wow, just the simple fact of getting into bed was truly horrific. I used a plethora of pillows. I still to this day use the pregnancy pillow that's featured in that clip. It just brings comfort. Like I did have to, and I still do for the most part, sleep on my back. So that was a very, very big adjustment to all of my tummy sleepers. Yes, you will finally get out of that habit, because it is really odd and uncomfortable to try to sleep on your stomach after a surgery like this. My massages started about a month after, and for some that might seem extremely late. Personally, I didn't have lipo holes. I only got the tummy tuck, extended tummy tuck. He did do lipo to my sides, but there are no holes. So basically, I just had a big wound. And although some people are comfortable going straight to a masseuse like a week after, I personally wanted all of my incisions to be fully closed. So especially the ones on my sides, which were the biggest because that's where the drains were, I definitely wanted to make sure none of my incisions reopened and none of that was touched and pushed against. Of course, they're gonna say, oh my gosh, you waited too long, you're gonna need more sessions. Do whatever makes you feel most comfortable at the end of the day. If you feel comfortable going straight into massages, advise your doctor. Personally, my doctor is here in the States and he never really stressed massages, but I did look up and do my own research and see the benefits of it. So again, all of this is just personal experience. Everything you see on the internet is personal experience. At the end of the day, consult with your doctor, have an open-ended conversation and see what is best for you and your recovery plan, right? That leads me into talking about my doctor being in the United States and TJ doctors, etc., getting work done outside of the US. I personally have no problem with the girlies getting work done outside of the United States. If I could, I would, but we're Salvadorian, and that is just to say that she doesn't feel comfortable as much navigating what it is, the Mexico plastic surgery scene. I feel a little bit more comfortable, but she, in usual cases of me getting surgery, is my primary caretaker. And so I just never wanted to place her in, you know, those kinds of positions. Secondly, I've always gone back to work a little bit too soon, right? So I've liked the convenience of staying here in the United States. But I think if you have the resources, the time, and somebody to accompany you to something like TJ, and you have a good recommendation, you have a good doctor, girly, we support all of that. Definitely there is a price difference. Secondly, I always tell this to people, go with a doctor for the style that you like, right? Always go to a doctor that you feel confident and that is going to align with what your vision is, right? Because there are a plethora of doctors. You just have to do the research and genuinely feel comfortable, because again, you're going under, you know? You definitely want to feel comfortable in the hands of these doctors. So moving forward, and one of the questions that I had just ready to ask was, when can I start working out again? Like, how quick can I get myself back into strength training? And that's where I messed up. So I waited about 3 months to start cardiovascular movement and light working out and all of that, which was the time that I was supposed to. Now, I did get muscle repair in my surgery, and I ended up I guess you can call it a complication. I ended up having a series of muscle spasms on the left side of my abdomen, not necessarily ever when working out, but just in my day-to-day life. Kind of, it weirdly all started when I was using the restroom and I was kind of hunched over and I sneezed. Basically, what my doctor later explained is called hypercontraction, right? So they do tighten your muscles up, they suture you, and over time those muscles are able to stretch back out after being tightened or loosen up. The sensation that I was feeling is just my muscle already contracting and me doing something to hyper contract them, and it sent just a shooting pain through my left side. I was given stretches and ways to manage it, and at first I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is this? How can I get this fixed? Now I am free to work out, obviously, and in terms of how I feel working out, I mean, this is one of the main reasons I got this surgery, was because I do avidly work out, and I always felt like I still had all of this skin just limiting me and creating rashes and just limiting me from how much I could really physically be active. Now, you know, I don't have that there, and working out is that much more pleasurable, that much more rewarding, because I don't have that limiting me. So the only thing that I will say is I don't program deadlifts into my workouts, just because, again, to me personally, it's a very compromising position due to my muscle spasms. And always to note that some of these things, like, I guess, like, I've heard, like, you're never the same after surgery, and there's always little kinks and quirks to everyone. And at first I was kind of like, oh my gosh, kind of down about it. But now I look at it in the perspective of, like, how much did I gain to this one minor inconvenience, right? Lastly, the question of, is it worth it? In my opinion, the quality of life that I am now able to live after having a surgery like this is tenfold. I am immensely grateful to have found Dr. Nguyen, to have found such a practice like him, because the confidence, not only in working out, but in my day-to-day, right? A lot of you might be able to relate to this, but we work so hard to get to this point. We make the changes, we lose the weight, we hit these milestones, but sometimes we still feel like we're in this body that is still so foreign to us. For me personally, it was my breaking point of, you know, I've lost all this weight and I'm able to hike and do all this, but I'm coming back from a simple 5-mile hike with my skin raw because I have this loose skin hanging over, you know, or I couldn't do certain exercises such as like Russian twists, but I've done all this, I've gotten so far, and I'm here, but I still don't feel like I'm on an even playing field in terms of how my body is reacting in some cases and what I'm limited to. So for me personally, it's 100% worth it, even with the minor inconveniences of like being out of the gym, having to recover, the pain, and sometimes the muscle spasms. Tenfold it has changed and given me that much more motivation as well to continue to work at this fitness journey, right? So definitely, whether you do it here in the States, whether you do it in another country, whatever your budget looks like, if this is something that you truly feel that you want to get, you are an investment and you are worth it tenfold. I hope that this video helped you guys out. I hope that you guys find a doctor or are with a doctor that you feel very comfortable with and you guys are ready to embark on this journey. Personally, I actually am going back to Dr. Nguyen to remove my loose skin on my arms, and I couldn't be more ecstatic. Again, going through my first round, like, I now understand why people get everything done at once, as crazy as that sounds, because thinking about going through that recovery again is a little bit daunting. But I am just super grateful and super excited to not only embark on this journey but also bring you guys along the journey. So look out for those videos. Again, thank you guys so much. I get so many messages and so many follow-up messages on Instagram asking me about my surgery, so thank you guys so much. Again, I hope that this video added value, and I will see you in my next one.